The Unite Warriors Grand Galvatron box set in over 60 seconds, let's go. So yes, carrying on from the Computron review, I decided I would discuss the ones that I got first. I don't remember when I actually got these ones, but good news, it don't matter. I'll be honest, this is a set of pre-existing molds, all repainted, some with new heads. I'm not going to go too far into detail, but I will also be showing no comparisons during this video, simply because I can't be f***ing arsed. Without much further delay, let's start with this one. Unite Warriors Tactician Cyclonus in over 60 seconds, let's go. By all accounts, this is the one that started it all. The first Combiner Wars Silverbolt retool. But more accurately, this is a repaint of that retool. He's just got a lot of nice paint, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's cartoon themed instead of toy themed, I don't really care. Also, weapon storage would be nice, if it just happened to look a bit practical, to be honest. Rest in peace, Cyclonus, it's not your fault. But no, nice detailing and paint all across the board. Also a lot of shit in the undercarriage. Oh well, fuck it, let's just talk about the transformation, which for all intents and purposes is ridiculously straightforward. Like, that's pretty much it. And once you finish tidying up Cyclonus, he actually looks pretty alright. I think I could potentially try and make an argument that this is the best head sculpt Cyclonus has had in mainline, except this isn't mainline. So therefore, I've just committed tax fraud. Unfortunately, premium paint does not forgive the sins of the past. By all accounts, I'm just talking about articulation. To the best of my knowledge, Cyclonus hasn't committed any crimes or isn't affiliated with the Children of Saturn, so not saying this guy can't be posed. For example, whatever the fuck this is, his main killer really is just the lack of a wrist and the complete lack of a waist apart from the part where his legs sprout from. I guess that's the closest we're getting. But fear not, because he happens to come with a hand cannon that he can't really hold particularly well. It's alright, Cyclonus. I've also woke up in bed one morning and thought, fuck this and just shat. But fortunately, we have options. By removing aesthetic accessories for aesthetic purposes, you can now give him a hearty dose of nostalgia that doesn't quite land. I wonder if I should have kept the Titan's Return cannon for this. It just now occurred to me that for scaling and detailing, this was probably the best Cyclonus we had until Kingdom. For 5 years, this was the reigning champion of Cycloni. Nah, complex to it, I think the Universe one did it better. Wandering Roller in over 60 seconds, let's go. Eagle-eyed viewers may recognise this mold as one of the only good ones to ever come out of Combiner Wars, but also just because this is the pre-tool for Nosecone. That's right, before Nosecone got his glow up and had his ability to navigate corners taken away, this is what he looked like. Not too much to say about this alt mode generally speaking. It's still a fist on wheels. Of all things, it's based on Roller from G1. It sounds like a joke, but it really isn't. But it also gives him the distinction of being the only Autobot in this pack, for some reason. It details it in the comics, you guys can go and look it up. I did not read the comics, for I am not a weeb. Also, I can't get all 6 wheels to touch the ground for some reason. Here's to hoping some poor sucker got fired for that self-inflicted blunder. Wait, and after the easy transformation, you get Roller into robot mode. The silver premium begins to fade away for some nice green, orange, grey, fucking blue of some description, and is that unpainted grey? Wow, I wasn't expecting to see you here. He also retains the original Rook head sculpt from the Predictobots, and this thing just looks unnecessarily aggressive and threatening. I fucking love it. Yeah, just a fucking spanking mold, and always a welcome addition whenever we see any Prime Wars Combiner. I think I pretty much keep this set around just for you, Roller. You beautiful motherfucker. Unite Warriors Zombie War Breakdown in over 60 seconds, let's go. This guy and one of the other limbs are pretty much Legacy before Legacy was an Inception. Because in case you were unsure, it's the Prime Breakdown. I just got overwhelmed with a moment when I saw this guy thinking, what are you doing here, mate? You can't park there. You can't. Very straightforward pickup truck mode. Probably the most successful weapon storage from Combiner Wars, followed by the most unsuccessful. Oh fuck, where'd it go? Now I only see an extremely unusual exhaust pipe sticking out the side of the vehicle. Wow, robots in disguise. Solid, nice blue, nice use of silver and red with Decepticon insignias to break things up a bit. Nice to see tinted windows. Not accurate, but I'll let it pass. Because this one was fucking more readily available than the actual fucking Prime Breakdown. For 4 years. And talking about him in robot mode, I don't want to say he's laughably bad, but he's pretty laughable. I think the head's just a straight repaint of the original, which it works. But I think staring into this man's mewing streak is just a little bit unsettling, so I'm going to move away from that. Fuck you, Breakdown. Kibble's a bit egregious, but thankfully it only covers one part of the figure. That just so happens to be the top part, so L, I guess. Posability is not particularly the greatest, but hey, at least this one has a waist. Also, if this is meant to be the zombie one, shouldn't he maybe a bit more, I don't know, fucked up looking. Also, like I kind of mentioned before, his weapon, while nice, is not particularly accurate. Fucking, I don't know. This guy feels like a future homage to what Legacy ended up doing with these guys anyway. None of them are particularly accurate, and this one just happens to fit right in with that. I could argue on the accuracy front, he's tied with a new one. Although I just know that one's going to be more fun. Now, of course, I can't not show this. I know I said no comparisons, but this is a bit different. Look at how good these two look together. Like, I think the comic even hints at him returning and getting married to Knockout. And I don't know, these two just look really fucking nice together. As a matter of fact, these two just kind of make me wanna... Unite Warriors, curse Armada thrust in over 60 seconds, let's go. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this guy doesn't help the Armada case. Most of those later Armada figures are pretty fucking good. And this one is a Combiner War retool. Fuck off, I don't make the rules. Yes, if it wasn't already obvious, this is based on the Armada thrust, who I think is the thrust who's received more attention in the last few years than the G1 one. I might fact check that in post. I might say f it, I don't really know. While the colour palette is very on point, I don't think the actual sculpt work is. Very different kind of plane if I recall correctly. But as far as a repaint goes, they cooked up something alright. Especially when the arms can articulate. Those are wings, not arms, you fucking dolt. You do that to me again, I'll have you fired. My mental health couldn't get rid of me, you don't stand a chance. Yeah. Jet in thrust paint works as a very cool novelty between Armada releases. Now, if they could just give us one that isn't a tease of a fucking Earthrise Starscream repaint, I'd be thrilled to get in on that. Okay, this is a repaint of one of the Combiner Wars jets. It's one of the ones I like. It does one thing I like and one thing I don't like. Find out what it is after these messages.
The Transformers will return.
Right f***ing now, it's the head. I can't really remember Thrust's head off the top of my head. I don't recall him having a mouth, or having a facial expression look like he's just been binge eating marbles and he doesn't want Megatron to catch him. I've just exposed someone's fetish to the world. It feels dirty. But the good thing is the wings. They have some options, so you can have them like this, or like this. You can have them down. My personal preference is like this. It just kind of gives them a look, you know? You know, the employable on a Monday morning kind of look. I don't know, colors are nice. Everything about this guy has a certain flow to it, but it's debatable how well it works. I often ask myself, okay, let's not fucking lie and try and look cool. I just thought of this. I wonder how much less of a novelty he would have been if we had the fabled repaints of Armada and Jetfire from the Titans Return line for BotCon that year, but I guess it's never to be. He's not the greatest thing in the world, but I'm glad at least someone was thinking of Armada during these turbulent years, and that it wasn't just me while crying in the bath one Saturday night. Unite Warriors, go Starscream in over 60 seconds, let's go. The Japanese are fucking kooky when it comes to go Starscream. Especially when we get into the robot mode and you see how much of this guy is actually clear plastic, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Put simply, it's a Combiner War Seeker. I don't know what took someone so long to think of it. I have no idea why Ghost Starscream was the first one that they thought of. But for all intents and purposes, I'm here for it. Relatively clean, except where he isn't. That's about all there is to say that you can't see. And if you can't see, then, hi. Hey guys, why is Ghost Starscream the worst liar? Because you can see right through him! I imagine that's the face most of you pulled at that joke. But seriously though, what an actual fantastic head sculpt. That's probably one of my favourite Starscream head sculpts of like all time. It has absolutely no right looking as good as this. And more importantly, it's one of the only bits of this figure that isn't clear plastic. So, starting with the head and the connector piece in the torso, you have these pieces in the focused area, his biceps, and the shoulder balls. Like, statistically, this guy should be dust on the floor right now, and yet, he feels slightly loose but otherwise solid. As in, he's not fragile. This man is metaphorically, biologically, and meteorologically built different. It's just fucking surreal having an 8-year-old figure that holds together better than some modern releases. And outside of that, he's okay. Weapon can only be handheld, which is probably the biggest misfire in the design process since the pedal-powered wheelchair. It just becomes a conceptually brilliant lad who fuses in with a group of remarkable weirdos. I still fucking love that head sculpt though. And speaking of fuses with a group of remarkable weirdos, Grand Galvatron. Now, outside of mentioning that Grand Galvatron's head and chest are a reference to the toy, I will not waste time talking about this as a combined mode, because a lot of this Computron already did, and I don't see the point in retreading old water. So instead, you can listen to me just natter on about the absolute absurdity of this set for the next minute or so, and then you can f**k off and do what you like with the rest of your day. My treat. Oh wow, I reversed the limbs. Ain't I just the fucking coolest? Like I said in the beginning of this video, or at least I think I said it, I definitely thought it. Unite Warrior's Grand Galvatron is conceptually Legacy about 5-6 years before Legacy ever happened. Yes, of course, this wears the warts and all fucking sufferings of the Combiner War system, but that's a dead meme at this point. This set was the first post-finishing acknowledgement of both Prime and Armada, and it deserves some respect for that. And it also happens to feature a recontextualization of a one-off gimmick courtesy of the Optimus Prime toy. It's one that belongs up there with the fucking greats such as Lyle Kaiser, and probably just Lyle Kaiser, to be honest, if we're not talking about the ones that pre-existed in the original G1 cartoon. It's not perfect, but it's a weird footnote of a time when Takara was able to do things their own way. And on simply that metric alone, with choosing some good molds, it's one of the most pleasant experiences I've had with a combiner from that era, and it gets 2 thumbs up from me. Also, Wandering Roller is just a supreme shagger. I don't make the rules, but if I did, everyone would be able to get one, because this guy just completely fucks. What are we, some kind of Grand Galvatron combiner?